I love how it's getting red with the gauge. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2022 Lexus RX 450h with the F Sport package. Before we get into the video, I do want to mention if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into the review. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that's paired to a hybrid system and an eCVT for the transmission. Total system output is 308 horsepower with fuel economy being 31 around town and then 28 on the highway. Now let's go over the front end of the RX. So first off, this is finished in Grecian water, which is an interesting color name, but I mean, it's blue, so it makes sense. There's in the sunlight, you can see the metallic flake. Looks fantastic. And you can see here over in the shade, kind of the body lines and all that. But speaking of body lines, really sharp body lines here. We've got the projector LEDs. You've got the LED accent light that mimics the Lexus check logo there at the front, which you can see here. And notice here with the blue around the logo, that is to signify this is a hybrid. You got a camera down below that. And then notice how most of the grille is all blacked out except for the trim on the outside. And then you can see the LED fog lights here at the bottom. And then more of that trim down below that matches the grille trim, and then silver here at the very bottom. And yeah, overall, it's a really good looking vehicle. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 35mm tires wrapped on 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And you can see here with the design on the wheels, I think it looks really good. And with the metallic gray, it definitely pops out quite a bit. Notice we've got the plastic molding here for the fender flares, and then down on the side, got our F Sport badge here. Notice the mirrors are blacked out. Hybrid logo there on that portion of the side. And then here's your full side view in the shade. And then this is like the perfect time to film because I can show you guys both angles. And then in the sunlight, looks great. Now here's the key fob. We have our unlock, lock, and then the opening here for the hatch. Remote start, you just press the lock button a couple times, then hold it. But opening up the rear hatch here. First off, we got our good old cleaning kit. But anyways, this is also the little snow thing, even though as you can see we don't have any snow issues, but it's good that we have it. You can see it's spare tire just underneath, and then we have these right here to lower down the seats for the second row. And other than that, I mean, storage space back here is great, but with the second row folded down, it's absolutely massive. And then you can lock it, or you can just lower it normally. Just gotta pick which one you want to go for, and there you go. Now let's finish things up here with the rear. So notice that silver trim that's on the side right there continues all the way here to the rear, but it's blacked out right there. And then again with the taillights, notice it kind of mimics the Lexus logo. And then again, blue around that logo here in the back. And then we got our F Sport and then our RX 450h badge. And then notice here, we've got the diffuser and no visible exhaust tip. It's right there, but they basically hide it to make it so that it looks a little bit cleaner from, you know, a body line perspective instead of just having like a, you know, exhaust tip pop out of nowhere. Almost forgot to mention, this one also has the roof rails. Anyways, ooh. Going over the rear door panel, you can see right here, I love that trim piece, and then the leather all down below with the stitching that goes throughout. And then look at the silver there on the door handle. Then our window control, a couple speakers here for the sound system. And then here are the seats. So notice perforated here in the center portion, and into the padding on the side, and then you got some adjustments here on the seats. And let's pop in. Also, don't mind my sandals, but legroom, headroom, and then you can see here with the vents, and then down below with the USBs. And then we've got our cup holder armrest situation, which is pretty fancy. Look at that. But let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front again here with the trim piece at the top and then the padding all down below. We do have memory seats, and then we've got all of our controls for the windows, mirrors. The mirrors do power fold in, and they've got blind spot monitoring. We have our Lexus logo right there, and then here are the front seats again with the nice leather perforated here in the center portion. You can see the bolsters. Got your adjustments on the side of the seat. Pedal layout down below, which look how nice those pedals are. And then we have controls like our heated steering wheel. This is for the camera, and then the lights, and then the hatch, heads-up display, and then the gas cap release. Sorry about my finger being so white and making it so you can't see stuff. Anyways, steering wheel is power adjustable. Let's pop in. So here is the steering wheel for the RX. You've got really nice leather here at the top and at the bottom. Notice our F Sport logo. Perforated here on the sides to get a better grip. Paddle shifters there on the back. Volume voice command controls here. We've got our controls for the lane departure assistance and then cruise control in this area. And then controls for the center stack. And then a normal setup with our turn signal light stock and then, you know, windshield wiper stock. The usual. There you go. Here is the center gauge cluster. We got a bunch of different menus we can scroll through here on the side. Different bits of vehicle information, like this little compass, fuel economy, all that stuff. And look at the fuel economy we've been getting, 29.9 miles per gallon, pretty solid. But the fun part is the drive modes. So we've got Eco, Normal, Custom, and we have Sport, which gets red and aggressive, and then we have Sport Plus. From a drive mode perspective, there is an EV mode as well, as you can see, turning that on and off. So a bunch of different drive modes to go through, and I love how it changes the gauge cluster. And we're actually in EV mode right now automatically, but that's that. So here's the center infotainment system. First off, we pop it into reverse. We do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Notice we got the bird's eye view as well. And then you can see here with the camera viewpoint on that. And then you guys remember there was a camera button earlier. If I press that, notice it'll give us this little viewpoint, which is cool. But if we go from reverse to drive, oh, I accidentally went manual mode. Okay, just seeing if it pops on the camera automatically with that. But regardless, infotainment system, even though it seems like it wouldn't be a touchscreen because it's kind of farther away, it actually is a touchscreen. So you can see, again, press it, use it as a touchscreen, or you've got a keypad that you can use as well, whichever you prefer to basically control all of the functions. Response time on the touchscreen aspect is really solid. It's super easy to use, and there you go. We got our Lexus clock right here, and then down below we've got our analog controls for the radio and the climate controls, dual zone climate here for the front passengers. And then this is kind of like our charging area. So we've got like a wireless phone charger in there, and then you can see like the USBs and stuff on the side. And then this is another phone holder, which is pretty cool. And then it's kind of hard to see because the shifter's in the way, but we have heated and cooled seats here for the front. And then got our parking brake and our auto hold. We've got our shifter for that eCVT. Again, it's got that manual shift function. And this is the keypad to control the infotainment system with the nice leather padded wrist rest. Try to say wrist rest 20 times in a row. Good luck. Drive mode select here. And then you got our EV mode, and then again, stability control. And opening this up, you can see storage space in here is great. And this is fixed, unlike the NX that would let you like take this up and use it as a mirror in the past. But notice the stitching connects, which is really cool. And then padding here, and then also on the top of the dash, and then over here. And got to press the glove box button. You can see storage space is fantastic with the glove box. And finishing things up here at the very top, you can see, got a sunroof here. And this is like a soft cloth for the headliner. And the reason I'm mentioning this is I also have an S-Class this week. And this has a nicer headliner than an S-Class, which is $130,000. Just let that sink in for a minute. Also controls for the sunroof on either side. There you go. So here's our window sticker for this RX 450h. First off, here's the standard equipment. It'll let you know everything right there. And then we have the optional equipment on this bigger one. So notice base price is $53,820, but this has stuff like wireless phone charging, right? Heads-up display, which I'll show you guys in the driving portion, and you know, the upgraded headlights. But anyways, after everything, $62,450. Let's take this out and see how it drives. So let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility of the hood. Notice the heads-up display. Hope you can see that now. Shows miles per hour, whether you're in charge, eco, or power, and then also direction, compass. There's your visibility through both mirrors. Again, they've got blind spot, rest of the rear. Let's set off. So, starting things off here in the RX 450h F Sport. And first off, this is such a cool looking vehicle. Between the color and the F Sport package, I love the looks of it. We, of course, have to go over the soon-to-be famous train tracks to see what the suspension is like here with the RX 450h. See if it can handle it or not. See how that SUV went over. We're not going to go over that quite that fast, but we're at least going to go over quick enough to really feel things. Yeah, it soaks it up. It's solid. It's really solid, actually. So, you know, feel it a little bit, but it's not bad at all. So I'd say that Lexus did a really good job with the tuning on this from a suspension standpoint. And I'm noticing that this is in EV mode quite often. I don't have it purposely popped into that, but it seems like it tries to stay in that as long as possible, right, to help conserve fuel economy. But I've got a little bit too much of a lead foot to stay in EV mode permanently. You know, I'm not exactly light with accelerating. Even when I'm quote unquote light, I'm probably still more on the throttle than the average person, sadly. RIP my bank account from gas expenses. But anyways, yeah, went back into, I'm in Sport Plus mode right now, and it's in EV mode because it's like, hey, you're not on the throttle, let's save you on gas. That's awesome. I like that. I really like that. Actually, we'll pop into the manual mode too. We'll see how this whole setup goes. And people always take forever to accelerate on this road, so we're gonna kind of take it slow and we're gonna hit it. Okay, so note to self, don't use manual mode unless you're going downhill and need to brake a little bit extra. Don't use manual mode. So like I said, note to self. But you know, accelerations, I mean, considering the power figures and the size, it gets up and it moves. But I'd like to do that again when we loop back. I'd like to do that again in automatic mode because I feel like it's gonna just be better at it than I am. We're gonna pop back into normal mode for the time being. And other stuff, seat comfort, seat bolsters, they pop out quite a bit, and so it holds you in place solid. Like it's nice. It feels great. And then the cushioning on the seat's good too, and it has lumbar that you can poke out, so that's nice. So overall, it's a comfortable seat. The leather feels nice and soft, and so yeah, I could see myself putting quite a few miles on this car with this seat. And then other stuff, steering wheel, I like the feel of it. Lexus does a really good job with their steering wheels in terms of they look great, but also just the feel is just fantastic with the steering wheel. And yeah, sound system, I guess we should talk about the Mark Levinson sound system. It's solid. I wouldn't say that it's like top tier by any means. You know, I've started to review more expensive bougie cars, so I've been around more high-end sound systems, but clarity's great, and I don't think that you'd have any complaints with the sound system. It's a good sound system. And infotainment system, kind of like the usability on it. While you're driving, keypad's kind of like, I understand why they still have the keypad, because when you're not driving, it's easier to use a touchscreen because it's kind of like quicker in that sense. But when you're driving, it's easier just to go from steering wheel to keypad, if that makes sense. And so I find myself using the keypad more while driving. So yeah, take that for what it is. And yeah, I guess it will kind of get into summing things up with the RX 450h, and we'll get another acceleration, but this time in automatic mode, so we can see kind of how everything goes. So we're gonna pop it back into the Sport Plus mode, and we went over those train tracks, and I didn't even notice. Like, that's how good the suspension is in this thing. We went over a set of train tracks, pretty bumpy, and like it handles it so well. I was like, oh, train tracks? What train tracks? I love how it's getting red with the gauge. Yeah, it's better in automatic mode than it is in the manual mode, I will say that. So I'd recommend, just, unless you're going downhill and you want more engine braking, just leave it in the automatic mode and it'll just do everything for you. And I think most people buying these are probably going to do that anyways, I assume. And also, I like the fact that it has automatic heated and cooled seats, so that it just like does the heated or cooled function depending on the temperature outside and how you have the climate control set and everything. It's just, that's a nice thing. I appreciate that. And we're going to slow down again one more time so we can get one more acceleration, and we will cap off things for today's video. This thing coasts really well. It's like taking forever to slow down, so I guess that's a good thing, right? Help out with fuel economy. Yeah, it's, for being a hybrid that's, you know, all about fuel economy, I'm impressed with that. So, fully summing things up here with this RX 450h. I think Lexus styling with this, I think it looks great. The new NX kind of like stepped up the game, I will be honest. Like, now that I've seen the new NX, I'm like, man, they need to, even though they just redid the RX, I'm like, they need to redo it again so it looks cool like the NX, but this still looks great. Interior, again, considering the price point and everything, super solid interior. It's nice from a material standpoint. And then, you know, power and performance is great considering what this vehicle is aimed at. Again, this is a hybrid that's supposed to be, you know, good from a fuel economy standpoint, but then actually be able to accelerate. That's why it has over 300 horsepower. And we'll actually pop it back in the normal mode. It's comfortable. It feels like a luxury SUV, and there's not really, I'm trying to think. I mean, some of the controls look a little bit more on the dated side of things, but other than that, there's not really much that I can knock this for. It's a good, reliable hybrid luxury SUV, and you know, it's not on the performance side of things, so I guess if you want more performance, then this doesn't necessarily offer that. But again, I don't think people looking at this are really looking at it from a performance standpoint. They're looking at it as, I want a nice, comfortable luxury car that gets great fuel economy for the size, and that's what this gives you. So there you go, that's the RX. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2022 Lexus RX 450h F Sport. And with that being said, I'll see all of you in the next video.